What's up? What's up, YouTube family? We're gonna go ahead and let some people join the live stream. We have an amazing show for you today. Ah, I am your host, Edward. Thank you. You're far too kind. You're far too kind. So as you come in, please you hear me loud and clear. Give me a heads up. I've been noticing that I've been going back on some of my videos too as well. Wanted to address this before I start the show. And I've been noticing a lot of your feedback in your chats. I haven't been getting them in the live stream. So I go back and a lot of you like I hear you loud and clear and I don't see that on the chats. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Some of my streams have been going down, but we'll get through this. We'll get through this at Round 1 Sports Talk, right? So, we have an amazing show for you today. We have the talented always Devin the Dream Haney coming up against his rivalry here, nemesis, so to speak, Ryan Garcia. And we're days away out from the fight right now. It seems like the fight is actually going to happen. There was a point in time where, like, I I just didn't know. I couldn't call it. I wasn't sure if the fight was going to happen, but it seems like everything's on schedule. Both men are in training camps. They both look good. Um so that's what I like to see. I would like to see both of them active in training camp, and I wish them both strong, successful training camps as well. Let's break down both fighters and talk about how they both match up. Is an American boxer with a record of 24 fights with 20 big waves by knockouts. He's been knocked out once. He has one loss. He suffered his first loss against Javante Tank Davis. He has 100 rounds, 25 bouts. Um, he has an remarkably Ryan Garcia has an 83% knockout ratio, which means he can crack, he can hit, right? He's 25 years of age. He's an orthodox fighter. He's 5'8" and he has a 70-inch arm reach. Okay. Um, well, Ryan Garcia, um, his last fighter, he fought against Oscar, right? Um, and then he lost to Javante Tank Davis, right? And that's his only loss right now. Well, Ryan Garcia, he had an extensive amateur background coming into boxing, and Ryan Garcia quickly rose up through the ranks in boxing. And what a lot of young boxers, especially young American boxers, find out really fast in America, if you get that it factor and you become popular, especially in the era with social media, right? Ryan Garcia's social media platform really took off. He's a good looking kid, no Diddy, right? And he had a lot of followers, okay? And Ryan Garcia got sucked into that lifestyle where that we clearly knew when he was coming up. He possessed a lot of skills, talent, his speed is really good. And we by now we would have thought that Ryan Garcia would have been a much better boxer. But as you can see, the lifestyle pulled him in a different direction. And Ryan Garcia struggles with that like many young boxers do. All this fame, all this money, the women throwing themselves on you, and it can be a lot of distractions for a young man. In this game, you even seen that Ryan Garcia pulled out of a fight suffering mental health issues. With the kind of mental health issues I believe Ryan Garcia was suffering was the pressure of being a boxer and what everyone expects from you and all, you know it's so much. It can be overwhelming at times that you can mistake that for like a mental breakdown, and that's called pressure. All athletes experience in all kinds of sports, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, pressure bucks bust pipes. And Ryan Garcia is going to have to learn how to adapt that at this level in the game. If he can't handle the pressure at this level in the game, well, then he just can't be at this level. So he's starting to make way. You could see Ryan Garcia, at sometimes I see him maturing and then he talks. He opens his mouth a little bit and I'm just like, man. But in other areas, I do see that he is growing up. Ryan Garcia has to settle down. And I'm telling you guys, and I really mean this, that it can become, you know, at some point, this can all click for Ryan. I'm hoping it all clicks on April 20th. And he realizes that he's a much better fighter if he follows the game plan. If he follows what his coaches have put down for him and he makes the right reads in the ring. Your coaches can prepare you for the night, but it's up to you to make the right reads, throw the right punches at the right times, and also capitalize on your opportunities. With Devin Haney, your opportunities gonna come far in between, or you're gonna have to make them happen by trying to push Devin Haney back. Ryan Garcia has a hell of a jab where that he could try to nullify Devin Haney's jab and come over his jab. I could already see that, I believe um the fight's going to take place in the center of the ring and both men are going to try to establish their dominance in the center of the ring by pushing the other fighter back. Ryan Garcia, you know, um everyone knows about his check hook. So Devin Haney's team is going to come up with, a strategy to take that away from him. They're also going to try to nullify some of his speed and they're going to try to make Ryan Garcia fight a different kind of fight. They want to see how good Ryan Garcia has actually gotten, where that, at times Ryan Garcia, he's shown that he can box, but for the most part of it, he's just out there fighting. That's what Ryan Garcia is doing. And salute front line. And I believe that Ryan Garcia is in for a long night. He just has to stay the course, you know, maintain, and keep it close with Devin Haney. So if you do get into the championship rounds, you can try to close strong. The championship rounds is where it really determines in the fight whether who wants it more. Teofimo Lopez beat Lomachenko because he stood his ground in those championship rounds. Fights like that. And if you can keep it close with Devin Haney coming into the championship rounds, Devin Haney was a little gassed out and a little fatigued against Loma. Now, I know he was cutting a lot of weight to make that fight, and he sacrificed a lot to get there. So at 140, he's not cutting so much weight. And uh, I think that he'll be okay, but you can still push Devin back. Ryan's gonna have to, you know, um, come off strong and have a strong opening and let Devin Haney know that he means business and he's here to fight. You see? As far as his opponent, which is the current 140 WBC champion of the world, the American fighter, Devin the Dream Haney. Devin the Dream Haney is 31 fights, 15 big ways by knockout, and he is currently undefeated. Okay? Devin Haney only has a 48% knockout ratio. Ryan Garcia has an 83% knockout ratio. Okay. So it looks like Ryan, anyway, is the harder puncher, at least what it says on paper. Stay with me. I'll explain. So Ryan, Devin Haney is 25 years of age. He's 5'8". He has a 71-inch arm reach, and of course, he has no losses. Right? He's coming off his last fight where that he just won the WBC 140-pound belt against Regis Progress. Okay, so what do I mean by that? I mean that Ryan Garcia has an 83% knockout ratio. Yes, but Devin Haney has fought the better of the competition, meaning as you get higher and your competition gets stronger, well, it's going to be that much harder for you to knock those kind of guys out because those guys ain't no tomato cans. Ryan Garcia might have an 83% knockout ratio, but his competition is not that of Devin Haney's. Oh, and now that they both entering fairly new, Devin has one fight on Ryan at 140, right? I believe Ryan got one fight at 140, right? So, they're both fairly new in the division. So, um, it's what you've done in your new division is what counts, not what you did in your previous division. But if we were going by competition, Devin Haney is fought the way better, stronger opposition than Ryan Garcia. What Devin Haney has to do in this fight, all he has to do, Devin Haney, is be himself. That's it. Devin Haney has to be himself. If Devin Haney can go into this fight, establish his jab, his range, um, once he really starts to figure out Ryan Garcia's distance, his timing, Ryan Garcia is, he is fast, right? But he has a tendency of keeping his head straight up in the air, right? So, and coming into his last fight, I didn't really see that he corrected that mistake, So, uh, let's see what he looks like coming into the Devin Haney fight. Devin Haney, I'm I'm trying to tell you right now. We're about to see what it's going to look like a much older version of Devin Haney. He's going to look more like he's growing into his man form in his appearance, his frame, everything. You're going to see it. It's going to unfold on April 20th right before your eyes. Devin Haney is going to show the world why he is Devin the Dream Haney and he's not playing around with these kids. You guys put this fight on him. He didn't want this fight. You guys wanted this fight. Ryan Garcia does not deserve a fight against Devin Haney, but he's here. And because of the popularity contest, and because I got to admit, Ryan Garcia is a skilled fighter. He just got to show up on that night. You see? So Devin Haney's going to show the world who he is. I really believe he's got a lot of tricks in his bag where he can go into. He's gonna put Ryan Garcia in a lot of different situations. And Ryan Garcia has never faced a foe such as a Devin Haney. He's never come against a boxer that is not gonna shell up, and actually fight him. The majority of the guys that Ryan Garcia fought were either old, moving out of the sport, you know, former this, but nothing, nobody that is on the level as a Devin Haney. Not to say that Ryan Garcia can't fight against a fighter like that. We've always believed it. I have anyway, that Ryan Garcia, I thought he should be much further along than what he currently is right now. You know, um, you know, uh, I watch his post fight interviews, Ryan Garcia, and if you were to take these post fight interviews and match them up with the fight against Tank Davis, they're basically the same. Different swears, different name, but he's acting the same way, making all the same promises. I promise you, tonight you're going to see a better version of Ryan Garcia, blah, blah, blah. I promise you, I'm going to knock him out. I promise you, I'm going to do this. And when he got in the ring, It wasn't none of that. When Ryan Garcia fought against Tank Davis, he looked green, amateurish. He was out of control. He wasn't putting his punches together. You could see the nervous energy in him. He wasn't he wasn't a profession at a professional level. He should have never been in that ring with Tank Davis. Once again, his name got him there. So we're here, right? Ryan Garcia has knocked out a lot of people. He does possess power. That's the one thing that can always change a fight, Dante Wilder, right? If you can possess that one kind of punch knockout power, you will always be a threat in the fight. Because at any time, if that guy makes a mistake and you connect, you could change the fight. So, because of the fact that Ryan Garcia does possess knockout power, I give him a puncher's chance. There's a little bit more to me anyway than a 50-50, 60-40 fight. In my eyes, this is a 70-30 fight. Devin Haney's favor. I'm only giving Ryan Garcia 30%. And the only reason why I'm giving Ryan Garcia 30% because he has not shown me otherwise. At what point in Ryan Garcia's career can you actually say, yeah, that's the fight he fought? That guy right there can fight against Devin Haney. I'll wait. Not even coming off his last fight where he tried to do some version of Floyd Mayweather's Philly shell defense, and Floyd Mayweather must have been embarrassed for the way he tried it. He tried the Philly shell back defense where that he exposed his back to his opponent so that the referee says, hey, don't hit him in the back. And the other guy's saying, ref, but he's turning around. It was embarrassing. And that's his last fight. There is nothing that Ryan, just because he looks good hitting a speed bag, just because he looks good hitting that bag does not hit back. You ain't fighting that bag in that ring. You fighting one of the top fighters in the world currently right now. Devin Haney might not be the best fighter in the world, but he is on the list. Somewhere on that list. There's only a handful of top fighters in the world right now, period. Period. So he's definitely on that list. Ryan Garcia is not on that list, but somehow, some way, they're both fighting. Yeah. But look, Ryan Garcia can make this fight very interesting. Yes, he can. And depending how he wins, lose, or draws, we can't count him out. Okay. Depending what kind of performance he puts up against Devin Haney will determine if Ryan Garcia still has a career in boxing, or will his career take such a hit that he probably won't fight any of the top guys anytime soon. There's a lot of young prospects coming up, and I believe a lot of the young prospects right now believe they can beat Ryan Garcia right now, and some of them might be right. Mason. Yeah. Shoosh. Camille Moten looks fabulous. Camille Moten looks way more polished than Ryan Garcia. I tell you that much right now. And a lot of those young kids have backing by big promotional companies. Yushu Carrington, come on, man. Yeah, I think he'll rock Ryan Garcia. That's my opinion. I just think he's just better. He would be better. But a lot of these guys are smaller than Ryan, so, like the Xander Zions and stuff, and especially the Sabrio Matiases of the world, the current champions, and then newly acquired Isa Pitbull Cruz. Ryan's all over social media talking about he'll beat Isa Pitbull Cruz. Well, you might want to focus on Devin Haney that's in front of you. April 20th, we're going to get a big fight, and I'm going to tune in on that day. You guys can join me. I'll be live streaming, calling the fight. We can sit back, talk boxing. Maybe I'll turn on the phone and have you guys call in. and take some calls or something. We'll see how it goes. Um, because I just currently hooked up my number and I haven't even announced that yet, but there it is, I guess, right? So yeah, I'm gonna start taking some calls and we can I really want to get to hear what you guys have got to say about some of these fights and some of these situations in the sport of boxing right now. One in particular, we have Mike Tyson coming against Jake Paul. Now, I did a little background digging in that fight. There was a lot of things said about what the rules actually were coming into that fight, whether they were going to wear headgear. Why were the gloves 16 ounces so big, the biggest size gloves in boxing? Um, um, and why did not the boxing sanctioning bodies sanction this fight as a professional fight for Jake Paul? Right? Okay. So I got a lot of answers to those some of those questions right there. Like one in particular. Why is this fight an exhibition fight? I like the fact that it's an exhibition fight on Mike Tyson's side. Meaning, as long as it's not a pro fight, then it won't count against him on his record. You know, shall he lose? Right? Okay. And the reason why it's an an exhibition fight is because none of the sanctioning bodies will clear Mike Tyson at 58 years old. He's still trying to push to get this fight a professional fight, Jake Paul's. He wants it to count for fighting a 58-year-old man. Mhm. And I believe they have some stipulations that before entering the ring, Mike Tyson has to pass a few doctor checks. They got to run like a brain thing and some hard stuff, and he has to pass all that before he can get in the ring. So there's going to be a lot of things leading up into that fight in order to get Mike Tyson in the ring against Jake Paul's. And a lot of people have came out and spoke publicly about it. And they were like, this is a lose-lose for Jake Paul's because fuck Jake Paul's if he hurts Mike Tyson. Like everybody's like, listen, you hurt Mike Tyson, Jake Paul's, we fighting. And like a lot of people said that. A lot, including Mike Perry, the knuckle champion, right? And I don't see he's gonna get credit for this. The only thing that can happen is that Mike Tyson knocks him out and he takes a big hit from being knocked out by a 58-year-old man. So that's one of the rules that's in place. And they're trying to get it to be like a sanctioned bout. Just none of the sanctioning bodies are gonna put their name on it. Because if anything was to happen to Mike Tyson and they sanctioned it, they can get sued for that. They were never supposed to clear no shit like that. Not at a professional setting. You see? So that's just like a judge, oh, let him out, let him out. You go out and do something stupid and kill, who you think they're going to come after? That judge. That's why they're reluctant to be like, yeah, release him. Nah, hell no. You see? So, uh, look, I have a lot of mixed feelings on that fight with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul's, but there is one thing that I do keep in mind, right? I realize that every human does not age the same and is not built the same. We are all not the same. We are not. And Mike Tyson was a professional athlete for quite some time, and I understand that he had a bad past, right? Okay. And the last time actually Mike Tyson was anywhere near, it was like 20 years ago. So he's got like 20 years of just not really training and doing anything. And you can't like make your body respond back to the way it once was. But boxing is kind of like riding a bike in a way, as far as punching and memorizing things. The problem is at 58 years old, your body's not going to respond quick enough. Your reflex muscles, your twitch movements, perhaps your knees or your back, who knows, right? But you're just your eye to eye, I'm not sure if it's going to be there. So what Mike's really going to have to rely on is the fact that one, he's got to come to terms with the kind of man and fighter he is today. He's not that Mike anymore. Okay? He's got to realize that he's got to play a game, and the game is try not to get hit by Jake Pauls. That's the game. Do your best to evade that and give Jake Paul something. You see, Mike does have possess a sharp, straight jab. And if anyone at 58 years old can pull this off, it's fucking Mike Tyson. I give him that much, right? The last thing to go on a man is your strength. If you allow it to dwindle and go and you don't work out as you get older and stuff, it'll go even faster, but you can bring it back. I'm here to tell you, you can bring your strength back. Okay. So, yeah, Mike looks good in some of those sparring sessions. Can he take a punch? Can he take a punch and can he evade Jake Paul's punches? Does he still have enough in the tank not to get cracked solid by a Jake Paul's? Because that's my worry. You know, Jake Paul's is young. You know, if I was Jake Paul's in a situation like this, to be honest with you, I would just blitz Mike Tyson. All out blitz him. Move my head a little bit and try to blitz him. But do it a little smart. Don't just go in there with your chin in the air. Don't do no shit like that. But kind of like do Mike Tyson to Mike Tyson type shit on some shit like that. Just have your defend your guard up high, rock back and forth, and when you're close to him, just fire off. Let it go. If he catches you, he catches you. You're all of 20 what? 26 years old? Like you're in your prime, kid, Jake Paul. You should be able to take a punch, like, and just keep blasting them. That should be the fight. Yeah, but um, I've never fought a 58-year-old man like Mike though. Yo, he might sidestep real quick, bang, catch Jake Paul, and that blitz might not work for him. You might not be able to blitz Mike. He's been in all kinds of situations, but the problem is as you get, you know, but he's not getting off the couch. It's not like he's getting off the couch and walking into the ring. He is training. So he'll more or less know what his body can do before entering the ring, which would be the good thing, you know. They gave him time to prepare, you know. So it's interesting. It's really interesting. And the fact that Jake Paul can't fight makes it even more interesting. You know, it's not like Mike Tyson's going in there with Roy Jones again or another boxer. See, Roy Jones knew how to stifle Mike's attack. He made the fight look a little boring because he did feel Mike's power. Roy Jones, right? When they did fight in their exhibition, and there was a lot of hugging, and as you can see, Mike couldn't get his distance. He couldn't get that usual distance where he got that step and everything was in sync and he got that uppercut. No, he was throwing it from a wrong angle. Roy Jones was already up on him. He couldn't measure it. In his head, he was fighting like Mike, but his body wasn't doing what Mike was doing. You see, and and it's tough for that, right? But when you got a fighter such as a Mike Tyson, decorated champion, um, a heavyweight champion, okay, undisputed, okay, and you're coming up against Jake Paul, and Jake Paul's getting a little bit better, okay, but Jake Paul has never been on Mike Tyson's level at no point in his career yet so far. Could he get better as a fighter? Sure, he could. You know, if he keeps taking it serious, Jake Paul could turn around, fuck around, and do something with this shit. He really could. You know, it all depends on what he puts into it. He has all the money behind him, the people behind him. He's out in Puerto Rico. He's got his own gym, I hear. I would like to go out there and visit it, in fact, right? Um, you know, the sky's the limit for Jake Paul. The world is actually in his fucking hand. You know, it just, if he takes it serious, you know. So but Taking fights like this is not telling me that he's taking it serious, to tell you the truth. You don't schedule. The only fight, the only boxer you actually fought against, you lost. And then the boxer he loses to, Tyson Fury's little brother, like was inactive too. He wasn't even sure if he was going to pursue a boxing career. That win over Jake Paul made him think he was somebody. He can't fight neither. And Jake Paul's lost to him. And that's the only boxer he boxed in his career. Everybody else was retired UFC fighter, a basketball player, whatever. You see? So that's my thing. If he's thinking about taking boxing a bit more serious, you gotta fight boxers. You gotta fight better competition in order to make you better. How are you claiming to be a boxer, but you're not boxing any boxers or any active boxers? And your next fight is going to come up against a 58-year old man. Yeah, you are fighting his name. You're fighting a legend, right? What do you think you're going to get out of that? Out in and now, if the fight's an exhibition, your record doesn't even move. So you're basically wasting your time, Jake Pauls, if you think about going up because your ranking is not going to move. According to boxing, you didn't box. See? So, that's why I have mixed feelings about where he's gonna go. If he's just doing it for performance and getting money, you know, all right, get your money, boo boo. Bring some eyes to my sport. I appreciate it. I'm not gonna hate you for you getting money. Obviously people want to see your fights. They're buying your tickets, they're buying your pay-per-view. I can't say nothing about that. They obviously tuning in. So, and when he fights against Mike Tyson, because of the fact that it is Mike Tyson anyway, I'm probably going to tune into this Jake Paul fight. I didn't watch all of them, but this one I'll probably watch. You see? So he's smart in one way because gimmick wise to sell money, oh well, I got to give it to him, you know? But yeah, not a lot of people are happy about this. No, a lot of people are saying they don't know why Mike Tyson is doing this. But I guess a lot of other people are saying he doesn't want to fight anybody real. Come on, Mike, knock him out. Be the one. Mike, are you finally going to be that dude to knock out Jake Paul? Like, come on, Mike. You know? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he could. I don't think he could. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to believe. It's just hard to believe, but we're gonna find out. Let's see if the fight even takes off. If Mike, makes it to the fight, if Jake Paul makes it to the fight, if there's no cancellations, no pullouts. We've had pullouts on the Jake Paul fight, so that's the sport. You see? But Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, man, they are days away from their bout, and I can't wait to see their fight. I want to see what finally happens. Um, there are four belts on the line in Japan too, as well. Um, Mexico has a chance to win four belts against the Japanese superstar Luis Pantera Naris. So that's a big fight as well that I got my eye on. There are a lot of big fights. I also want to see what's going to happen with Demetrius Bivol and Arthur there. I got a lot of mixed feelings. A lot of I've talked with a couple of my friends, and there a lot of people think that Demetrius Bivol is gonna beat Arthur Benavidez and that he's just gonna outbox him, and that Arthur Benavidez can't box. I'm trying to tell these guys Arthur Benavidez is a bit more crafty than people give him credit for. It's obvious he hits hard. Arthur hits hard. He's a forward kind of guy. He looks a little stiff when you watch him, but at that size right there, those kind of size men, they Arthur Arthur, he has his own unique style, but he gets to his guys. It's just a matter of time. And once he starts getting it and he starts moving in and he starts hitting, yo, it's just like he's just like a machine. And David Benavidez, I mean, not David, Demetrius Bivol, sorry. Demetrius Bivol, um, when he beat Saul Canelo Alvarez, Saul was a smaller guy coming up. He showed that he can box. If you just allow Demetrius Bivol to box you, he is gonna box your head off. He is. He can fight and he can box. Yes, he can. Right? Um, he's good. I just want to see him against a guy just as strong and that can crack like an Arthur Benavidez. Let's see if he can weather that kind of storm. You know, Arthur doesn't have three belts for nothing. A lot of people like, and I'm talking about a lot of people like are saying that they think that they're gonna take in that fight, and I'm just like, I'm gonna rock with the king. I'm gonna rock with Arthur. I think that he's, until you beat him, until you show me otherwise, then I give him the respect as a champ, and he deserves that much. Like, he has 100% knockout ratio still up to this day. So if he still has that 100% knockout ratio, it does. Matter of fact, yeah, I don't think I can spell his last name. He has a crazy last name. But yeah, I that's gonna be a great fight right there. I'm gonna tune in to watch that one, as well as Tyson Fury against Usyk for all four belts. I'm gonna have to watch that one right there because we're finally gonna get a definitive king. If everything goes right, for these two guys. Um, Ty, the Saudi prince right now is still in negotiation and trying to see what Terrence Crawford wants to do. And I'm starting to think right now, fuck it, Terrence Crawford. You look, and I was thinking about this earlier today, right? And Sebastian Fedora, it's obvious he doesn't want to fight Terrence Crawford. His father was on social media saying he would rather fight Errol Spence Jr. and that he's not entertaining a fight with Terrence Crawford. Then Sebastian Fedora's promotional company, the guy that promotes him, came out and tried to discredit Terrence Crawford by calling him a boring fighter and that his style will be boring, not fan pleasing, so that Fedora wants to fight Errol Spence Jr. because allegedly his style is more fan pleasing. It was just a bunch of bullshit, okay? Because Terrence Crawford is the best fighter in the world. The fuck are you talking about? His fights are boring. Like, if you're talking about a boring fighter, Sebastian Fedora, name me one fight that he's ever been in that's been fucking. Come on, bro. He's not in a real exciting fighter. So how are you're talking about your fighter and comparing him to Terrence Crawford, but you're calling Terrence Crawford boring? Fuck out of here. No, you just don't want the fight. That's what it is. So what happened was once his promotional company caught wind that Sebastian Fedora got suspended due to the athletic commission because after every boxing match, both fighters in fact are suspended until they meet with their doctors. They deem to pass, give them their suspension, how many months, how bad was the ass whooping, because these suspensions are put in place to protect fighters from themselves. Because fighters are crazy enough to take a massive ass whooping, get knocked out, and a month later be back in the ring and they'd just be destroying themselves. So, for health wise, that's why they put these suspensions in place. So they suspended him into September. So that kind of puts Terrence Crawford and foils his plans, right? Okay. But it, or does it? So I was thinking, I said to myself, okay, people are playing moves to avoid each other, right? So I said to myself, I said, okay, why doesn't Terrence Crawford, right? fight the newly acquired WBA champion out there in Saudi, right? Okay. He fights him still under the WBO banner under 147. Just don't vacate that belt. Keep the WBO at 147. You win the belt at 154, the WBA, and you're still the WBO champion 147. That still makes Tim Tszyu your mandatory. After he gets out of that suspension in September, you can double back and under the WBO structure still become Tim Tszyu's mandatory after that fight. And you'll have the WBA title. And then that fight could be possibly for three belts. But if he was to choose to vacate it and still not fight Terrence Crawford would then go and fight for the WBO title after he vacated, which would entitle give him two belts. And Sebastian Fedorov will fight whoever he fights might have a possibility of beating him and then come back for the WBC. Because Terrence Crawford, his last hurrah, which I believe, which is the smartest thing to do, is try to unify all four belts in a third weight division. That should be your only goal. The only fighters that you need to fight are guys with belts. That's it. No, no Jaron Boots Ennis, none of that shit. Just go after the champions. And if he could secure that kind of fucking, you know, accolade for being the first man to be a three and the first man to be in a two, that you're on some Brady is Michael Jordan shit. You're really on that like that real GOAT status where they would actually have to call you the GOAT while active in boxing. Those are like a rare fucking moment. Like you're not supposed to call any boxer the GOAT while active because they gotta retire. And we talked about this. A lot of boxers don't retire well. Get knocked out a whole bunch of times, fuck up their record. They're not the GOAT anymore. Right? Okay. But when you do some shit like that, that's when they can call you the GOAT in your sport while you're playing it. You see, Brady was called the GOAT in the NFL while he was currently playing football. He had 5 rings, 6 rings. He was the GOAT at that time. Then he got his seventh. You see? So there was nowhere near him. The next eligible guy had a quarterback had 4 rings. It was ridiculous. So you see, so while in it, he could. So Terrence Crawford right now needs to really set his sights at the tail end of his career on those kind of things. And if the stars line up just right, he might be able to pull it off. One guy go get the other 2 belts. He gets 2 belts, and we get one more fight to unify all 4 belts. Make it a little bit easier for Terrence Crawford to get all 4 belts. Why don't you go out there and get that for me? I'll spin the block, come back and fight you for those 2. But if they try to play keep away with him, I think that for as much as boxing has halted Terrence Crawford's career. For the love of God, may the boxing gods work with him on the tail end of his career. All these boxing guys should just say, man, for once, if he can actually do it, let's not stand in his way. Let's make these other champions have to fight him. Because for God's sake, if your skill was really that of that kind of man, stop ducking him. Stop running with the belts. Make these guys fight him so that the world can see where your true skills and how far they can take you. Let them do it. Let them do it. Make these guys fight him. Make the best fight the best on the way his way out. Let's see if he can do it. You know? Because at the end, you will never really know What good is it to sit home and fantasize and say, we've done that a lot with our American champions? How many times have you sat home and said Ali would have been a way better champ had they not interfered with his career, put him in jail for not serving in the army? Mike Tyson would have been a better champ had he not freaking got his coach died and went with Don King, went to prison. Huh? How many champions do you know that their career at somewhere or another was fucking altered? Sugar Ray could have been a better fight. His eye was bad, all coked out too at the bitter end of his career. There's just a lot of things. And if you got a guy that is dedicated to the sport and that's that good right there, man, let him go. Let's fucking find out. Don't let these fake motherfuckers stand behind this guy, damn well knowing if you would have put them to fight, I don't want to play, sit around. What if? It's actually can happen right now. We have a man that could potentially do this. Let him do it, man. See if anyone can actually stop him. Because if you can't actually stop him, technically, he can really do it. But I want to see it. And if you guys think that you guys can stop that man, then fucking put somebody in front of him that can. But it's got to be for a belt. What's up, guys? What's up, Carlos? What's up, Armando? You guys been quiet tonight. What's going on? Talk to me. Talk to me. He called him an overrated what? Luis Nares. eh, um, I've seen interviews with him already calling Japanese fighters overrated and the same. According to Luis Nari, right? He says that all Japanese fighters are the same. It's funny, right? You could kind of say that about Mexican fighters, couldn't you? Right? So you see, Luis Nares has developed and really, embraced the Mexican fighting way. A Mexican fighting way is usually a come forward style. You have an iron chin, relentless pressure, and your durability to win the fight. It's relentless. That's typically your Mexican style fighter right there. Most of them can take an ass whooping and keep coming forward like zombies sometimes. In fact, not all of them, but that is kind of like your that's your Mexican rich style. And Luis Nares has adapted to that. But the one thing that he did, he became a lefty. And lefties are a little bit more tricky to hit. Luis Nares knows how to dance in and out. And he's wild and reckless in his approach. The only thing is I don't think that he possesses enough up body speed where that his waist isn't that fast. Like a Pernell Whitaker, like a Floyd Mayweather, he doesn't have that kind of waist where that he can really do that with a guy so fast like the Japanese superstar, um, Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue is just too fast. And I think his speed is what's going to give a fighter like Luis Nares a lot of problems. Because if he just wants, he can just be a sniper, this guy, and he's going to really pick Luis Pantera Nares apart. Listen, like I've talked about this in previous videos, and I've said this. If this was any other fight on any other night, I believe the Japanese superstar would end them within 4 rounds. Luis Nares does not make it out of the fourth round. Anywhere in between there, he's getting knocked out, whether it's the first round, the second round, the third round, or the fourth. I don't believe the fight would ever pass the fourth round. If it was any other night, any other fight with Luis Nares, and I'm talking about both, but that's not what the situation is. Japan has lifted the ban to allow this man back into their city for only one reason, for their guy to teach that man some respect. And when you do that and you say, okay, I want to make my title defense, and at the same time, I'm a exact a revenge for us, right? You don't knock a guy out like that in the first, second, third round, fourth round. That's not teaching him a lesson. You don't go out there and knock the guy out in the first round. Yeah, yeah. What'd you do? You knocked him out. He collected a paycheck. All right, you knocked him out. You want to teach him a lesson? You drag him out for multiple rounds. I don't know how many he got planned. That's up to him. And you beat on that man. You punish him. You hit him just hard enough not to knock him out. And you swell up his eyes. You might bust up his nose, break his nose, bust up his ribs. Every time he goes back to that corner, put a little bit more ass whooping on him. And when your country of Japan, all those big wigs are sitting out there in that fucking first row, you better believe they will be. They're gonna do one of these. They're gonna give him the nod, and they're gonna let him. They're gonna unleash him. And as soon as they give him the nod, he's gonna knock him out. And I just don't know how long that's gonna be, because in a fight in this magnitude, what's at the line? That's the only thing that got me a little confused on how he's gonna do it. Because had it just been Luis Nares versus the Japanese superstar, within four, he's not getting out of four. As a matter of fact, Naoya Inoue has dispersed of left-handed fighters faster than right-handed fighters. So it's even worse to come in with him at a lefty. And what is Luis Norris? Fucking lefty. He knocks out lefties at a much higher rate than righties. Yeah. So, but, like I said, had it been any other just regular night, I'm like, yo, he's just going to trash him. But you just might see Luis Pantera in the ninth round. You might see him still in the fight in the 10th round. It's not because he's in the fight because he's winning. He's in the fight because he's taking a long ass whooping. Remember, Luis Nares beat the former Japanese superstar not once, but twice in Japan in front of all the Japanese people. He beat a hero, then disrespected Japan, and then got banned and took off with the money. We know the story. They stripped him for the belt because of what he did. So the Japanese people feel cheated. They feel cheated and they want some revenge. And I believe they got just the man for the job. They got just the man for the job right there. Japan's got a real one in that one right there. They got a real one right there. And congratulations to you. You guys got a good fighter and that Japanese guy. America, we've always had our share of good fighters. So it's always good to see other countries, you know, um, start to bring their guys and their talents out. I've always believed there's a kid or a girl out there that's going to be the next Muhammad Ali or Floyd Mayweather or Naoya Inoue, you know, and it's good when we see that, because it's not always a guarantee that that kid will make it to his sport and be able to grow in the sport and bring us these kind of fights. I look at the current kids that are coming up, like your Camille Motens, you know, and your Madison, Abdullah Madison, and the five Madison brothers. I haven't had the time to really look up any other of the Madison brothers. I'm not going to sit here and pretend. You know how we do. We don't fake anything here at Round One Sports Talk. If I seen it, I seen it. If I didn't, I didn't. You know, if I'm qualified to talk about it, I'll talk about it. If I'm not, I can't. I'm not going to talk about it. That's how we do things around here. And I haven't seen those guys. But if they're anything like their brother, he was I saw an interview and he was talking. He's very, he's pretty smart, for a boxer. They were asking him his insight and what he saw, what his father sees in the corner. He owes a lot of his success to his dad and to his brothers. They work as a family. If his dad doesn't see something, his brother can see something. And it's good to have a group of family that is with you and also share the same thing you're interested in. It's not like one brother's a boxer and the other one plays the guitar for a rock band. No, they this is a family thing here. So I would like to see more of the other brothers. I want to go check them out when I have a little bit of time. But I've been breaking down a lot of stories and shaking up leads on different matches and stuff here. Especially in particular with the Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney match that's coming up, man. So if you guys listen can get out to New York and catch that fight, I would go at the Barclays Center. I would go to New York City. You know, damn man, I could have went to that fight. I could still go to that fight, but it's probably sold out. But it's in New York City, and I know somebody that knows somebody in New York City. I'll get in that fight. hmm. Actually, as I sit here covering the fight, not until this very moment that I even thought about going to that fight out in fucking New York, and it was right there. I never even put it. You know why? Because I was so caught up with the Sabria Matias fight. To tell you the truth, I've been excited to go watch that fight. Ever since I thought that I could go watch it, my eyes have been like, boom, on that one. And since I spent so much money on it and everything else that comes with it, with the 7 days I'm gonna be out there, I wasn't thinking about going to watching no other fights because that was like my Super Bowl right there. So that's probably why it didn't dawn on me to go watch it. But it's never too late. I still think I might get out to this fucking Devin Haney fight. I can pull this off. Hold up. I might be able to pull this off. I'm like right down the street. It's 3 hours away, but that's just a small 3 hours. you know, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. My wife will kill me. Ah, Carlito, what's up, papi? What are you guys talking about? Hmm. Look, Frank Martin is a worthy opponent for Tank. I like the fact that I'm with you on that. That Tank is finally fighting somebody that's gonna, I believe, really bring out the best version of Tank. We're finally gonna see somebody that's actually gonna fight Tank and have the ability to either have the same strength, size, and attributes, and be athletic enough, just like a Tank and explosive. Now, I'm not going to say that Frank the Ghost Martin hits just as hard as Tank, and they have this sparring video going around, which I already tell you guys. Sparring is doesn't mean shit. It means that sparring video with Tank Davis and him actually means zero. You're not going to be able to emulate fight night in those sparring things with bigger gloves on and bigger headgear, and you got your cup outside of you know what I mean? And your wife and kids are not sitting there cheering you on with thousands of people in the fans, and everything that you build for is riding on that night. Sparring is not like that. You're in sparring, you're comfortable, you're working out stuff. That shit don't count for nothing, bro. Frank the Ghost Martin could have did good against Tank Davis and some sparring thing. And if he thinks that that should be a measuring stick by the fact that only measuring stick sparring does for you is it lets you know that at least you're there with them. You're there. Like what he could have took away from that sparring was, like he said, he wasn't no superhuman. He didn't take, knock me out or do anything like this, right? Boom. And I was hanging with him, so it allows me to know that I'm there. That's all you should take from that, right? Then go back and develop your style with your fight plan and bring that with you on that night. Good luck to both men, right? But a sparring session doesn't determine the winner in a real fight. Tank Davis looks amazing right now. And I think that Tank Davis is ready to come out a fight. For me, anyway, although Frank the Ghost Martin has a great jab, he as a boxer, man, he looks like a good specimen, doesn't he? He's ripped the fuck up, bro. If you ever want a boxer's physique, Frank the Ghost Martin is the kind of physique and style you would want, right? No Diddy, right? So and the way Tank Davis was pudging up at 140, he didn't have no abs. You couldn't see his bicep, his triceps, nothing. But now Tank looks like he's all cut up. His legs are cut up. He's a real prime focused Tank Davis. I think in the speed department, Tank Davis is just slightly faster than Frank the Ghost Martin. And the one thing with Frank the Ghost Martin that I see that he does, one, he's a slower starter than Tank Davis. It takes just that much more to get his engine going than Tank Davis. They're both athletic men, but Tank's a bit more explosive, right? One thing about Tank, he sets traps. He sets a lot of traps and he'll throw a certain kind of punch for 4 or 5 rounds and keep you thinking that his punches are being thrown there. Then instead of throwing his punch straight, he'll loop it, right? And he'll have you walk right into it. He's smart when it comes to those kind of things. Tank Davis has a high ring IQ. And I don't think a lot of people give him a lot of credit for it because of the type of the opponents that he fought. But he did disperse of them mighty quick, didn't he? So Tank's doing what he needed to do. He just had to fight better opposition. But Frank the Ghost Martin's claim to fame is Michelle Rivera. That's it. That's all you got, baby. You know, um, you're not fighting the kind of guys that Tank Davis was fighting. And the way that Tank Davis was fluctuating out through the divisions, moving up and down effortlessly. A win, a win, a win, a win, a win. No matter what weight division he was fighting in, he was winning. You know, so Frank the Ghost Martin is strong. Um, I think that his forward pressure can give him a little bit of problems. But as soon as Tank Davis gets his perfect timing and distance, he's gonna hurt Frank the Ghost Martin. If Frank the Ghost Martin doesn't hurt him first. Because I'm gonna tell you something right now. Although Frank the Ghost Martin is not like this stellar knockout artist, he can crack. He can crack. Okay. And if he catches any man flush, it's just that you're not gonna catch Tank flush like that. He's a professional boxer for a reason. One, he knows how to move, he knows how to roll with the punches, and just not doing your basic stupid things, falling into shit. You're not gonna catch Tank like that. He's too smart of a fighter to catch him like that. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to create your openings. You have to create your moments, and Frank's gonna have to capitalize on the situations that he creates with Tank. And that's the only way I see him getting to Tank. I don't think you're just gonna out jab Tank Davis. Every man that's tried to out jab Tank Davis, that didn't work out too good for him. Tank Davis is a lefty, right? Okay. So, which, mind you, that was born a righty. So, Tank Davis's natural hand, I believe, is his right hand. He just fights lefty. He's always fought lefty. Okay. So, that right jab is coming out strong. That's why it's always been strong. You see? So, look, that is a good fight. That is an amazing fight. It's not a 50-50 fight for me. That's not a 50-50 fight. That's a 60-40 fight. Tank Davis's way. The reason why I believe it's a 60-40 fight is because Frank the Ghost Martin hasn't really fought anyone yet. He hasn't fought anybody in that kind of quality, not because of his lack of trying. He wanted some of these fights. The one fight he did deny was the Shakur Stevenson fight, but I believe that was over money or something. He was promised 1 million, then he heard he could get more. I guess he felt disrespected. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there, right? But I know for a fact that he denied that fight. Okay. So Tank Davis is Frank Martin's best fucking opponent. I'm not too sure that Frank the Ghost Martin is Tank Davis's best opponent. I'm not too sure about that. Julio Santa Cruz is I think a 3 division world champion. He was fighting fucking Tank Davis, that Mexican dude, bro. Santa Cruz, when Tank knocked him out with that vicious fucking knockout that I believe was knockout of the year, um uh he was fighting him, bro. Mario Barrios was fighting Tank Davis, man. I mean, they're not the greatest boxers in the world, but neither is Frank the Ghost Martin. He ain't no established superstar. He's just around the same category and the same name and the same line as those guys. The only thing that's Luis Santa Cruz was a real world champion and a multiple division world champion. Frank the Ghost Martin hasn't fought for no belts. He's never fought for a world title. He's never competed for a world title. You see? So those guys were actually Luis Santa Cruz was getting, dragged up to a higher weight division, but that doesn't always necessarily mean that he was going to lose the fight. This guy's moving up. Terrence Crawford moves up. They knock out their people just fine. So we can't always say just because he was moving up one weight division to fight Tank Davis that he was already going to lose. No. What happens when he moves up and fights the much bigger guy? What happened when he moved up not one, but 2 weight divisions from 108 to 115 and right away fought the champion and knocked him out? So Santa Cruz could have knocked out Tank Davis. You know, it doesn't always, oh no, he dragged him up. No, that's a decorated fighter right there. That guy knows how to fight. Bottom line. So, I don't, Frank the Ghost Martin just has not been in there with better competition. I believe that Tank Davis knows how to handle Frank the Ghost Martin. And if anything, all the brothers and all the fighters you can imagine that Tank Davis has come across in Mayweather's sparring gym and all that experience that Tank Davis has got, I believe there was a few brothers that he sparred against once or twice in his life that were better than Frank the Ghost Martin. He ain't gonna bring nothing he don't see. But I am saying that Frank the Ghost Martin can surprise and play spoiler. He has the skills. He has you're in a fucking fight, bro. When you're in a fight and you got guys that, you know, have equal skills here. Well, not equal. They both have good skill. Tanks, I think, is a little bit better. He's a bit more further along than Frank the Ghost Martin. He is right, but Frank is no slouch. He ain't no slouch, bro. He can fucking fight. That guy can fight. And he can really fucking give Tank a lot of problems. If Tank's not smart and Tank tries to like think he's just gonna walk over Frank the Ghost Martin and underestimate, he might fuck around and get caught. Because Frank the Ghost Martin is not coming in on that night to roll over or lay down for no one. This is his moment. This is his Super Bowl. He's going out there with the mentality, you gonna have to kill me tonight. At least that's how they start. Till you put them hands on them, then that changes between rounds. Maybe I shouldn't be a boxer. Maybe I should be an insurance salesman. You start making, you know what I mean? He's putting them Beats by Dre on your ass. He now all of a sudden you're not like, I want out of here. What happened where you gonna have to kill me? Yeah, he beat that shit right out of you. You know? Armando, what up, Bam Bam? Boogie. Or like 70-30. You got Tank with a 70 and you gave homeboy 30. I gave him I gave him 40, right? Because of the fact that how he beat up on Michelle Ali Rivera. And I personally know like Michelle Ali Rivera, and you can go back and watch some of he's a good boxer, bro. He's a good technician, counter puncher, Michelle Ali Rivera. He has some pretty impressive knockouts too, and he was on a before he lost to Frank the Ghost Martin, he was undefeated, and he was on his little roll too. And the way that I saw Frank the Ghost Martin maneuver around a lot of his punches and made him miss is what I said to myself, well, if you can move around a guy like that Ali Rivera had the inch advantage, the few inches and height too as well. And Frank the Ghost Martin got around all that, the height, the reach, everything, and the skills. So I was like, okay, I'm going to acknowledge that. I'm going to acknowledge that. You're not just like this stiff, robotic looking fighter. Like a Errol Spence Jr. Where that I always thought he was a little stiff for a fighter, but when he hit you, it made up for his lack of speed. You see? So Frank the Ghost Martin, for a while I was thinking that maybe a lot of that muscle wasn't good for you because he looked a little stiff, but his last three fights, boy, has he gotten better, faster, he's coming along. When I see Frank the Ghost Martin, I got to admit, every time I see him, his neck's out, he looks better. He doesn't look like he has a decline or he's falling back. No. In fact, every time I see Frank the Ghost Martin, he looks that much better and he's adding new wrinkles to his boxing arsenal. In fact. So coming into the Javante Tank Davis fight, I expect to see a better version of Frank the Ghost Martin. In fact, I was also looking back to see about that date situation. Just in case, they're like, nah, we were always gonna have it on June 15th. I'd be like, fuck, right? So anyway, um, I was watching an interview today too, and it was with Frank the Ghost Martin. That's right. They asked him, so you have a fight upcoming with Javante Tank Davis. It was rumored that it was going to be June 15th, but now they're saying it's June 22nd. And Frank the Ghost Martin looked right at the guy in the camera instantly and goes, no, that's not confirmed neither. And it just might not be on June 22nd neither, he said. He said the venue we were looking to book um is booked already. So, there's another place on that date. So this maybe the city or the location or in that day will stay, but the venue might move. I'm not sure what he meant by that. Maybe it'll go from like Madison Square Garden to the Barclay or from the Barclay to I don't know where the fight was gonna take place. So, but Frank the Ghost Martin out of his own mouth said that. He said he goes. The guy said, "Oh, so it's gonna be June 22nd." He says, "Nah." He says, "I don't think it's gonna be on June 22nd." He said, "Yeah." So that's subject to change, and he did confirm that everything but the date and place is set. He's Frank the Ghost Martin did say that. He did confirm that. He said that the contracts are set, the money part is out of the way, what platform is going to stream it, all that's out of the way. What they're trying to find out is a date, place, and time. That's it. But that the fight is they are both training to meet up against each other. So that's who they're going to be facing, you know. So he did confirm that, but he didn't confirm the date. So yeah, we might be getting that one a little bit later than that. You see? So and then but we will be getting the Saul Canelo Alvarez fight May 4th against Jaime Munguia, before all those other fights. Before we get we're gonna be getting the Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. After the Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, we should be getting the Saul Canelo Alvarez, and from there, so forth and so forth. And we'll be rocking into the summer. By then, we'll be into June. And also in May, we'll get Saul Canelo Alvarez, May 4th. May 6th, on Monday, we'll be getting the Japanese superstar. Just 2 days away from one of the biggest fights of the century, right? And then we'll be going into June. So and then we'll have Subriel Matias and Tank Davis in June. So each month from here on in, for each month, we have a mega fight, if not two fights in that month for the next 3 months going out. We have nothing but world title fights and huge fights in front of us. In fact, and closing out the rest of until July anyway. Where that you got like the Tyson Furies and all that coming in at that back end too. And you got a lot of interesting lower fights all happening at the same time all over the place, that you can check out. In fact, there's some matches coming up this week. There's a card tonight too. In fact, local lower seniors and stuff. But I pay attention to a lot of these guys because I want to see the next talent that's coming up, and if I could catch, and see one coming up. So I keep my eye out always. But fight fans, listen, man. Oh, let me see what Bam Bam's saying. If that happens, the boxing world would be turned upside down. A lot of people would lose a lot of money on what he's going to meet the red with take. You guys are just loves. Yeah, 60-40. That's what I gave it. All right. That's what I gave it. I gave Frank a little bit of respect in this, right? But I pumped my brakes with him. Let's put it 35-65. I'll give you 35-65. How about that? I'll go to 35-65. All right. Right? Because, you know, um, like I said, and I talked about it, I just haven't seen Frank the Ghost Martin in with the kind of puncher that Tank is, and you know when he gets hit that hard and that big for that long, how would he deal with it? How would he deal with Tank's pressure? How would he deal with Tank's speed, Tank's explosiveness, and Tank's a crafty fighter too, as well. He's pretty nifty with his punches. Yeah, he is. He caught Mario Barrios straight up, with a shot that he didn't even see, and it was so effortless. You thought that the punch was going right back to exactly the last where he was just setting he was setting traps. And he's really good at that. That's why I say that, at certain point in the fight, Frank the Ghost Martin's going to start to get a little tired. And when you get tired in the ring, you may be sharp in the first few rounds because you're remembering everything. Everything is fresh, right? But as the fight starts to go on, sometimes you're going to have to be like, resort all powers from boosters to the front type shit, right? Meaning, right, you might relax a little bit on your defense to keep your legs moving because it's heavy to keep those gloves up. They might be 8 ounces or whatever, but after a while, your hands get heavy. And if you're going to use energy to keep them up, well, then you got to stop running. You got to try to preserve some of your tank to finish the fight out. So, depending on what starts happening to Frank the Ghost Martin, like how bad does he fall apart during the championship fights? Does he still look like he does when he came out in the first round? Or you ever see those fighters by the 10th round, their hands are way down here now. And they're just like baiting each other in with their top movement. They decided to not to burn energy on holding their hands up. Now they're down by here, and now they're using their last little bit of energy to try to be elusive, to try to catch them with a good shot, right? They're not putting anything together their punches together by this point, because of fatigue and exhaustion. Um, that's what I want to see. When that happens in the fight, I can tell you one thing for sure. Tank Davis looked great in the 12th round. He still looked like Tank Davis. Tank Davis fought Esau Pitbull Cruz with two broken, fractured hands there. He still looked like Tank Davis in the 12th round. He didn't miss a beat. You see? I got to see that when the night's not going good for you and you're getting battered and this guy is pushing you back and the night is going fluctuating up and down. Where is your mindset? How much offense, how much energy did it take you to get to the 10th round? Did you have to give more than usual? Were you uncomfortable in the fight? These are all things that are factors that I want to see with my own two eyes. These are tests, right? Tank Davis hasn't been tested in quite some time. And I spoke about this with Devin Haney. You fuck around and keep fighting lower opposition, and that's going to lower your fighting skills. You're not fighting anybody that's making you better. Whenever I competed in any sport, I wanted to compete against the best guys because at least I knew if I could hang with them, I belonged. And no matter what sport it was, I was never pro in anything, but if we were playing in my fucking high school, I want to play with the guys on this side of the basketball court, not with the guys on this side. You guys know who those other guys are, right? And what they look like. All right? You want to get on the one where everybody's around, right? You want to be on that court, right? So I made sure I was on that court at least. You see? Because if you keep playing with the guys on this court, you ain't never. It's gonna fuck you up when you go to play with those guys. They're gonna be that much faster. You're gonna forget. You're gonna be like, oh shit. You see, so that kind of can hurt you too. So now that Tank Davis is coming against a better opponent, more athletic, good good boxer, I would say, in his own right, Frank the Ghost Martin, good ability, fundamentally sound, you know, um, all around for Martin. I give him a B. I give him a B plus. He could stand to be improved a little bit more in some other areas. But as he gets tested and shall he beat Tank Davis, that will really solidify him and put him in a situation where people will start to really pay attention and recognizing his skills. You have to prove your skills. in boxing. You have to show your skill. You can't run your mouth, because that's only going to get you so far, as you can see, Rolly. It's only going to get you so far if you don't put that work in the gym. You want to be successful at something, you got to be better than that thing. You got to raise the bar in your sport, So, ah, listen, all that refing, judging shit, people saying, oh, the judges are bought, the referees are bought, right? It's easy to say, but that's real hard to do, right? And then, especially, like, if you were the type of person that had a fucking nation or a city behind you and you went into the fight and it was your hometown and this guy came out, yeah, they could, they might rob you, and the judges and everything, it might be easier to do that. But when you're fighting in America and both the fighters are American and both the fighters got big promotional companies and they got money, like, I don't think you could buy the judges at this point because just like he can, like, type shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's not going to be one of those situations, I think, because, nah, America stands to win either way. And they're both superstars. This kind of situation, just let them fight. Let the truth be told. That's all you got to do. Yeah. Yo, it would be bananas if Devin Haney wipes him down for 12 rounds and they raise Ryan Garcia's hand. That would be crazy. Carlos, yeah, Bam's always talking to everybody. We know he's not the Uber Eats driver. Yeah, yeah. Yo, listen, guys, I've been on chopping it up with you guys. Yo, check out my boat, my thing. Shit's dope, right? Little smoking pipe. I got it today. It's got the finest tobacco inside of it. It's altered. They have on these for like the pipe tobacco, like the regular, like your grandfather had one, right? But they modified this one for other kinds of tobacco. You know what I mean? If you're not, familiar with other kinds of tobacco, right? And it's got one of those. See, easy to clean, 14 karat gold. See it? You know. I figure if you're gonna, you're gonna have something smoking, do it real big, right? You know what I'm saying? Listen, fight fans, love you guys. Popeye, that's me. I don't know why, but it attracts me to when I'm looking up boxing. This is how I look at boxing now. Do you see me? See? Now look at me. Look at me. Right. It just makes me focus more, as I'm passing time. No, I'm fucking getting old, bro. That's what it is. Fuck. Ah, that's it's happening. That's what it is. Fuck. Ah. Yo, listen, man. I love you guys. You guys are the best, man. Yeah, yeah. Lionheart, what's up, my man? Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. That's what's going on. Yeah. Hey, whatever. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Right? But listen, guys. Yeah. Yo, man. I know you guys are gonna be watching this fight, the Devin Haney fight and shit. And that's gonna be a really good. Oh, one more announcement. I have one more announcement for you guys. Jaron Boots Ennis did in fact get signed by Ed Hearns and Matchroom. Yeah. So I think I'm not sure, but I think this is Ed Hearn's first American superstar he's ever signed. Uh he had Canelo, but he's Mexican, born and raised Mexican. So yeah, I think this is his first American boxer, period. I'm not sure if Ed Hearn's ever had an American boxer. Now that I'm reporting it, I'm starting to think about that avenue. It's how my brain works. You guys know that, right? But yeah, he did sign Jerron Boots Ennis, bro. And that's big, man. You know, if you can have Jerron Boots Ennis locked down and fighting in America for you, he's the newly acquired IBF champion. That's big. And I've been talking about Ed Hearn. He's the modern day Don King. He's fucking everywhere, bro. Every time you turn on a fucking boxing match, Ed Hearns pops out. Hey, it's gonna be a great night. Yo, right? Trying to sell fights and shit. He's really doing his thing right now. For a man that was in a position where he was in, where he like blew a lot of money, I wasn't sure if he was gonna have a job. He's really turning it around, fucking with them Saudis is really saving his ass. I tell you that much. Those are some smart business moves. But one of the business moves that I think that's gonna pay off for him is signing Jaron Boots Ennis. So it is official. Jaron Boots Ennis is signed to Matchroom. So if you're thinking about any of his fights in the future, and who Matchroom and Ed Hearns and the Zone fuck with to get the Jaron Boots Ennis fights, that's who he's with now. And not to mention that now Ed Hearns has two, the new two, which I believe, in my opinion, two of the next top boxers in the world, and Errol Jaron Boots Ennis, right? And Subriel Matias. Ed Hearns has Subriel Matias right now, and he just got um um Jaron Boots Ennis. Those are the two next fucking superstars, bro. That's basically your Terrence Crawford and Saul Canelo Alvarez right there. Basically, for your Latin culture and yeah, for the brothers. Like that's I believe that's a big power move Ed Hearn made right there. And the fact that Jerron Boots Ennis, he didn't go with the brothers. He didn't go with the PBC. They're right there. You know, Oscar De La Hoya's right there too. Top Rank is right there. So Ed Hearn had to open up that wallet. Yeah. Yo, and what did Jerron Boots Ennis make his last fight? What was it, 300,000? That's the most money he's ever made in a fight. Period. Yeah, I believe his first fight now with Ed Hearn, he'll make 1 point something or something like that, maybe even two. Defending that belt, who knows? Yeah, but I like that move, man. I wish we got him. I wish fucking American promoters weren't all fucking snakes, you know, and they had a little transparency with the fighters and shit. Not like Bob Arum, which he fucking straight up get you. But he's been known to treat some boxers right. I guess it really depends on who you are. I don't know what he's thinking or why he does what he does, but I heard some horror stories with Bob Arum, but same thing with any boxing promoter. But I've also heard some heart touching stories with Bob Arum that he did some shit for boxers behind the scene he didn't have to do. He didn't have to do. And he doesn't come out every day beating his chest talking about, yo, I did this. So, it's just a dirty business, man. I'm not mad at any of them. I just, as a fan, I want to see the best fighting the best. That's it. That's all I fucking want. And I want Tank Davis to start fighting somebody. And I want Shakur Stevenson to fight somebody, and and if they're not gonna fight each other, like what the fuck? There's other fighters, they could fight. Lomachenko was always there. And the only person that fucking fought Lomachenko was Devin and Teal, it seemed like, that was anybody, big anyway. And then Teal, I know Teal wants to get his grubby little hands on Isa Pepo Cruz because everybody's looking at him like fucking a lunch. They looking at him like he's sweet or something. Like that fight's gonna be easy. Well, I got news for Tio, bro. You're really not that dude. You're good, Tio. You're a little bit better than good, in fact. And I'm not a fool. But Isa Pitbull Cruz is not sweet. He might be little, but he ain't sweet. That little man can fight. He's just gonna be outgunned. That's the only that's the only situation that I find myself in some of these fight with these bigger 140 pounders that I just don't think Isa at 5'3", at 5'3", he is currently the 140-pound champion of the world. 5'3". Everybody was saying he's 5'5", the Japanese superstar, and that he would be too little to even, in fact, fight fighters at 122, 126, 130. And Isa Pitbull Cruz is all of 5'3", and he is the 140-pound championship of the world. Listen, gentlemen, you guys have been awesome. I'm not gonna close it yet. Let me read some of your shit just in case one of y'all says something that we gonna kick it with. All right. Yeah. How many people at 146 have big names and can give Jaron Boots Ennis a chance? Okay, let's look at the champions right now at 147. Okay. But at 147 is, I believe it was a ghost town too, the last time I checked. For God's sake, at 147, they still got Terrence Crawford listed as the champions, and we know he's not going to do nothing with these belts. Okay. You got Virgil Ortiz Jr. at 147. Virgil Ortiz got a big enough name that he hasn't fought the Terrence Crawfords, but his name is pretty big, and his promotional company is Oscar de la Hoya. So you got Virgil Ortiz, Emmanuel Stiliones, right? Emmanuel Stiliones. You got Mario Barrios. Mario Barrios, the Mexican, he's got a big following. He doesn't make all that kind of money, but he's fought on pay-per-view with Tank Davis, right? Um, Virgil Ortiz, I'm not sure if he ever fought on pay-per-view. He's got an okay following. I bet you could probably make more money with Mario Barrio. Emmanuel Stanliones, at 147, you could fight him. Then you got the WBO Global and Jaron Ennis. All right. The 154 can get real crowded real fast. Terrence Crawford comes into the 154, and Jamel Charlo comes back to the 154 with Tim Tszyu, Sebastian Fundora in there, and Jaron Boots Ennis moving up. You can have better fights there than you can at 147. With all the momentum that Tim Tszyu got, Sebastian Fundora got, the return of Jamel Charlo, the entrance of Terrence Crawford, if if Jaron Boots Ennis was smart, he'd leave the 147 and hop up to 154 where all the fights are. He joined the party. Yeah. And then it would also give other fighters an opportunity and these belts to start scattering. As soon as Terrence Crawford leaves, these belts are going to scatter throughout the 147. Now he can also choose to stay at 147 and clean house. Jaron Boots Ennis is the best skilled fighter right now once Terrence Crawford leaves 147. Errol Spence Jr. is no longer in the 147 no more. He's currently still there until he makes his ring return. But as you can see, he went and approached Sebastian Fundora in the ring for a shot at his title at 154. So you see where his vision is. You see? So Jaron Boots Ennis could pick to stay still at 147. He could collect all the belts. I just don't think he has the right dancing partners to make that kind of magnitude fight with the big enough names. If the only name you're going to have left is Virgil Ortiz, you might want to start thinking about moving up to 154 where everybody else is at. That's just my opinion. Well, how do I feel about Spence and Boots? It'll just be another it'll be Terrence Crawford 2.0 whooping on his ass. That's it. I don't think Errol Spence Jr. is ready for Jerron Boots Ennis now. Had it been Errol Spence Jr. before the car accidents and he was getting better as we went, my tune would change. I would say much different things about Errol Spence Jr. But I'm judging Errol Spence Jr. with the man that he currently is today and what he's been doing. He's only fought one time one time with Terrence Crawford. In the past 5 years, he fought three times. Okay. That's way too low activity. Just because your name was once Errol Spence Jr. and you was the big fish at one time cleaning out the division, you're not that man anymore. You're not him, and I'm not gonna judge you by your name. Jaron Boots Ennis will beat the shit out of him, straight up. That's what I think. Nah, he ain't fighting Boots, bro. Crawford will never fight Boots. Boots Ennis doesn't have anything Crawford wants. First of all, and it's just too risky of a fight right now. Terrence Crawford really wants to go for those belts at 154, and I already see where he has his eyes on. You don't fill up the paperwork to become the WBO mandatory to fight Sebastian Fundora and then just to what? Turn around and fight 147? No, you can't make 147 no more. It was no secret that both these men were killing themselves to make this fight just because the belts were there. But I guarantee you, had you been able to take those same belts and say, "Yay, can you allow us to put them at 154?" They would have said yes in a heartbeat because it was hard for both of them to make 147 anymore. Okay. So they're moving up regardless. But Terrence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis, the only thing with them, they really entered boxing at two different times. And in rare situations, will you get the older guy to fight the young guy because the young guy put up enough work and had enough noise behind him. Unfortunately, as Terrence Crawford was moving, Jaron Boots and his career was stalling out. His promotional company died. He was only fighting once, twice a year. They weren't giving him the fights. It was, no fault of his own. Jaron Boots Ennis was ready to fight anybody. He was ready a long time ago. It was just a fortunate of bad events on the other side of boxing, not in the ring, but on the politics side. And his career started to stall out. He didn't get those and secure those big fights that can entice Terrence Crawford. Tyson Crawford takes a look at his record and says, for God's sake, who have you fought? You fought one Russian, The motherfucking dude that I beat, you know, okay, a former world champion, Furmore, and he was old as fuck too. So like, who have you fought? So on paper, Terrence Crawford's saying you've never even fought for 300 past $300,000. Terrence Crawford's fights negotiating right now are starting at like 10 million dollars. That's what that's where he's at. You want him to start talking to a fighter that makes $300,000? His last fight? You're just giving that guy an opportunity. See? So had Jaron Boots Ennis not had those issues with his promotional company and his career sputter a little, perhaps he would have beat some of the top guys by now. So perhaps he would have had secured some of those big fights and entice Terrence Crawford or even moved up in front of Terrence Crawford, secure himself a title and be in position to be like, "Yo, I got something you want. Now you have to fight me." And we could have got them to fight. But in the situation that they're both currently in, you know, I don't know. Maybe the only way I ever see that fight actually happening if Terrence Crawford says yes. That's it. That's it. It's the truth. It's just the truth. You know, Terrence Crawford is past where Jerron Boots Ennis is at in his career. He's like, young man, I've been there where you are, you know, but in fact, I beat a lot of the big guys. And this is not, I'm on Jerron, any take away from Jerron Boots Ennis because, like I said, no fault to his own. Had he not had all these problems, he could have been fighting these fights, but legally, he couldn't, and a lot of things kept him out of the ring. But now he's returning. Now he got Ed Hearns. We'll see what happens. I'm saying 2025 is going to be a big year. Listen, you guys, I love you guys. You guys have been the best. We've chopped it up long enough. It's 11:30 at night. All right, ain't it past your bedtime? Come on, man. Stop it. You know it's past your bedtime, Armando. You know what I mean? Because it's past mine. All right. Listen, look, I love you guys. Popeye is out. You know what I mean? On to the next one after this one. Here at Round One Spurs Talk. You guys are the best, man. Love you guys. Have a safe night out there. Um, and I'll be